Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Veerman. I'm here with my friend and trusted producer, Max Kerman. Also here with our pop culture aficionado, Shane Cunningham. And today, guys, on the show, first of all, there's a lot going on. We have a Crave show, 8 episodes. We've been talking a lot about that. But also on the show, Max, we have your good friend, Frank Turner.
My boy.
UK musician.
Yeah.
Guys, what's been going on?
Well, full disclosure, we are surrounded by a bunch of our favorite dudes that will be appearing. Some will be appearing on other episodes. We have
Unsworth from Clown Salad is
Clown
here.
Salad.
And Heist Podcast.
Heist Podcast. Our friend Johnny P, award-winning director, who also appears on The Pedestal.
With Shane and myself.
Yeah.
Simon.
And our dear
Jane.
friend Simon, former colleague.
And Simon.
Yeah.
Simon did the theme song for The Pedestal. So every time you guys listen to The Pedestal, when you hear that song, it's Simon Jane. Webby D's here as well.
Yes. Webby D. And it is, what day is it? It's the...
Ultimate filler.
What's the weather at here? Come on. What do we got?
Just tell the listeners what's going on right now.
So
What's
basically,
the time in LA right now?
Okay, I'm gonna.
Full disclosure, let
full
them know.
disclosure. We recorded a part of this open already. I had second thoughts about it because I'm not one to stir the pot. I said that we shouldn't talk about this issue, and then I brought it up and said we talked about it for 25 minutes. It's a stupid controversy around a pub crawl. I think a lot of our friends are waiting for us to talk about it, but we're not going to talk about it. Okay, those tapes are being burned, and that's that.
So you don't even want Mike to try to edit what you said.
No, I just don't think it will land in a place that will satisfy everybody. I don't think it's any good.
We've just recorded, I feel like, for, like Shade said, 3 hours. And then Max is like, just as we're about to go to the bar after doing 2 full podcasts, Max goes, Mike, what do you think you can... how do you think you're going to be able to edit that pod we did the other day? I go, I don't know. I got to go into it still. And he goes, and I can tell immediately he wants to record a new opening.
Okay, I'm gonna be totally honest with you guys.
Finally.
It's 5:58. At 5:27, I got a text. And because I'd mentioned bringing up this situation to our dear friend Dan Hamilton, who in some ways is a moral guiding light for me. Like,
good luck, brother.
No, but I do think, whoa! Simon J just
cracked a bottle. Oh my goodness!
I wonder if the Champagne Boys are going to be suspects in this case.
So Dan texted me, and because I told him about the upcoming pod, and he said, I just had a shower and it really fucking irritates me. You talk about that situation on the pod. He goes on in depth.
Wow.
And then he finished with, and the fact is, you don't need to talk about that part of it, so that should not be risked. And you know what? I was like, you know what?
What's the risk?
Why does Dan have such angry showers?
Well, no, but you know what?
I was thinking about it.
Yeah. No, and
scrubbing his body, blood everywhere.
So I think he's right, and
oh my god,
and honestly,
it's just ridiculous.
Yeah,
Shane's not having any of this.
No, I know, but I think for the betterment of everybody, we should just get on with the rest of the open that we had recorded already. So we're gonna cut right.
You do stir the pot, by the way.
I do, and it's my own
Okay.
fault. I know. Listen. The day before, I told myself I'm not going to talk about this thing, and then the first thing I do is talk about this thing.
No, but I'm talking about something else because you messaged Sean Dawson today, and I've been dealing with him. Because
that was funny.
No, well, you think I think things are funny too, but you're stirring the pot.
Well, tell the people now they're listening.
So in the dessert, we have a writer on who is kind of auditioning to be a digital dessert writer. I had politely asked Sean Dawson to come on and do that same audition. He did not want to.
Yeah.
And for our listeners, we've recorded the dessert.
So
already.
I make a very polite, funny jab at Sean, and you messaged him and said, Shane tears you a new one. Or
this guy skewered you.
Sorry, same thing. You said Shane skewers you on the next pod, which is the last thing.
Sean just texts back, context, please.
Yeah.
No, and then he started. He messaged me personally, and I've been dealing with him.
Oh.
So now we have to cancel this dessert.
Yeah,
also.
guys, I'm in the doghouse
You're like
tonight.
Loki.
So do you have anything for this week's dessert?
I was going to talk about Christmas shopping.
How controversial is this going to
No,
get?
you know what we're going to do? That's the opening, and now we're going to go beep, and we're gonna cut to what we recorded
Whatever
2
we
days
talked
ago.
about afterward. Hey, you know what? If the open is only 7 minutes, so be it. All right? It's a short open.
Send your letters to Max.
We need some funny stuff.
You can blame me.
We're just going to move on.
Yep.
What do you want to talk about?
Let's talk about your Crave promo. You've been doing the promo rounds.
We've all been doing the promo round. I mean, yeah, I've been doing I guess the thinking is from Adam Slynn, who is the publicist here and who's been doing the rounds with us, is if all three of us can't be there, because Max, you're an elusive guy. You're the hard get, and you're the most famous. If all three of us can't be there, they're like, they just want me to go, and then that way it's like one streamlined conversation.
Sure.
So there's been a bunch that I've done.
Is that it, or is it if Max can't be there? Because I bet if I couldn't be there and Max could be there, they might see more value in a celebrity like Max.
I never even thought of that.
No offense to myself.
I never even thought about that angle, but that is an interesting
Yeah, I'm
angle.
no draw at this point.
Fuck, no, to that point, if I couldn't be there and you and Max could be there, I could see that happening.
Them wanting Max, yeah. But I bet if the both of you couldn't be there, they wouldn't be like, let's get Shane on the social ASAP. Like, I don't think they'd be doing that.
Maybe for Comedy Magazine.
Comedy Monthly. And then you even said, you were like, Shane, I feel like we'll have a good rapport if you come out with me. And I was like, I knew they didn't want me. So I was like, Mike, no. Like, it's better with just you, which I truly believe. And then all of a sudden, I get an email, like a couple days later, from Adam.
Yeah.
And he's like, Shane, they actually do want you out for these couple. And I was like, oh, my goodness. It's just going to be Mike and I. They actually requested me. Turns out it was because Max ended up agreeing to some publicity. And we get on like this like weird radio or Hamilton magazine interview. And the guy just rips me apart the whole time.
He was being funny. He thought your bits were great.
I guess that's subjective.
Yeah.
But
no, you're just being too sensitive right now.
No, at one point he goes, I guess we got to talk to this Shane Cunningham character. So I perk forwards and he goes, so Max, how's the tour going? And I'm like, is he fucking digital deserting me? Which is fine if I know it, but I just need to know if he's
now you know how it feels.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then
exactly. Oh, it hurts.
And then I was like, well, you know, like I thought you wanted me here. He's like, no, the publicist was like, you got to talk to Shane. You got to talk to Shane. You got to talk to Shane. It's like, now you're here. And he really did not like the digital dessert segments. And after the interview,
he was probably picking up on your persona from the show, which is this guy who's sort of like neurotic and somewhat insecure.
Well, neurotic people don't like being told that their segment's a train wreck.
I know. Well, I think he was like kind of playing another version of you in the digital dessert.
Yeah, maybe. I just wish he was a little bit more overt with it, so I could have known how to play it. I felt a little embarrassed afterwards, which I guess, to your guys' point, is a taste of my own medicine.
Yeah.
But I like to think seconds in, my guest knows I'm just joking.
Sure. You were left feeling uncertain about it.
But I was a little frazzled and phased after that, and very glad that Mike continued the press tour after that.
He did give us a great write-up, though, I gotta say.
Yeah, we're on the cover of View, baby.
That's
View
right.
Magazine.
Yeah, so like I was doing a bunch of press. Actually, one thing I didn't tell you guys, Shane knows this, Max doesn't know this. Where we sit here at 299, we're right by closed captioning. So closed captioning obviously has to go through every show that comes out of this building, and they caption it for the hearing impaired. One of the ladies that works in captioning, who I don't know, walked by me in the halls, and she goes, Mike, from Mike on Much. And I go, oh, yeah. She goes, very funny. Your show is very funny. And then she just kept walking. And I was like, oh, she must have captioned like at least a couple of the episodes.
She sees a lot of shows, too.
So she had to sit through the show. So I was like, oh, that's very nice. And so hopefully if you haven't subscribed, you'll check them out and you feel the same way. But yeah, I was doing Your Morning, which is the morning show here in Toronto. And I was sitting in it's like, whatever, 7:30 in the morning. And I was sitting in the green room with Adam Slynn, hanging out, waiting to go on. And as I'm sitting there, who comes walking in but Geddy Lee from Rush.
Yeah.
I was like, wait a second. I was like, is it super early? Am I crazy? Like, no one told me I was on the same show as Geddy Lee. Like, this is nuts. I'm like, not only that, but Geddy Lee, we tried to get him for our Crave show.
Yeah.
Are we allowed to
Did you
talk
say
about
thanks
that?
for nothing?
No, but I was like, I really wanted to go on, and then them show the clips of like Sting and Noel and all these people, and then him be like, oh, I should have gone on that show. Not that he probably even knows or gives a shit.
He didn't know that, yeah.
No.
The interview request was probably in.
But I was like, I need to get a photo with Geddy Lee. I mean, he's Geddy Lee. He's a legend. So I was like, what would Max do here? I'm like, Max would just ask for a photo. So then
Sometimes it works.
Good move.
Yeah.
And sometimes, as we know, with Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg,
and Tyra Banks.
it does not work.
The list just keeps going. And so he goes out to get a little bit of powder on his face, and then I ask his people, I'm like, hey, is it cool if I get a photo with him? And they're like, yeah, absolutely, just ask him. So he comes back in, and he walks into the green room, and I stand up like I'm going to shake his hand. And just as I extend my hand, I go, hi, Geddy, I'm Mike. And he pulls both of his hands back into like fists at his chest, and he goes, I'm sick. I'm very sick. I go, oh, totally. I totally get it, man. He's like, it's cool. I'm like, do you mind if I get a photo? He's like, yeah, absolutely. And he was like the nicest guy. We get a photo. He was promoting his book, I guess. And then they're like,
and weirdly, you end with a kiss on the lips.
I did. Yeah. Well, I ain't afraid of germs.
No tongue though.
Yeah, no.
Germaphobes.
So anyway, he goes out. They're like, Mr. Lee, we're ready or whatever. And he goes out and he goes on the show. And I'm like, wait a second. I'm like, Geddy's going on before me. They're making me follow Rush. I'm like, I don't want to go out after him. And I was joking that basically the drop in viewership would be so significant that no one's going to watch me.
Yeah.
Imagine you got bumped, though, because of Geddy.
I got to come back the next day. But he was a really nice guy. And I didn't. This was very un-Max Kerman of me. I didn't say, oh, hey, I've got this show, and we'd love to have you on next season.
Yeah, I would have started pulling references out of my ass of people whom I thought might know him. And actually, his sort of manager works at E1, so I would have just started barking names at him and seeing if his eyes lit up at all.
Till you made the connection.
Yeah.
Did you see after you posted the photo, there was a fan comment where someone said, oh, Shane's wacky outfits are getting out of control.
Oh, I did actually see that.
The implication being that I'm Geddy Lee in this photo.
Hey, what got more likes, Geddy Lee or Leon Bridges?
Geddy Lee was a story, not a photo. Yeah, but I have a feeling just from because I shared it on my personal Insta, like I kind of did that in the story. I got a lot of comments just on like.
I think Geddy Lee would get more Facebook likes, and because more older people are on Facebook.
Leon
like my mom
Instagram.
was going nuts for it.
Yeah. Who made that joke about you and Geddy Lee?
It was Ryan Carter, if we must out him.
Right.
It is a solid joke. There is a slight resemblance between us. I'd like to think I look a little better, but I don't want to put Geddy down either.
Okay, so today on the show we have Frank Turner.
My boy.
Webby D's fave.
Yeah.
Or one of them anyway. Second fave. Who's your fave, Webby D?
Butch.
No. He pointed at Max Kerman of Arkells.
Well, that's Max's nickname, Butch.
It was great to see Frank. I showed up on stage with him the night before, or 2 nights before.
I went to that show. It was at the Phoenix. He did, what, 3 nights here?
Yeah, 3 nights at the Phoenix, 4 nights at the Phoenix. And yeah, it was actually...
You were crowd surfing in that show.
Yeah, that was part of the bit. I didn't get to sound check. I was supposed to go to sound check to run through the bit with him.
Oh, sorry. I remember what happened. Me and Dan Hamilton went with you and manager Ash to that show at the Phoenix. And you're like, oh, Frank's got us taken care of because you're getting up and singing. We're like, sweet. So they give us like these like the backstage passes like out of Wayne's World where it's like, oh, we're with the band. And then they usher the 4 of us in. And you and Ash immediately get ushered and me and Dan get held up. And it's like, oh, but we got like backstage passes. Our friends are back there. Like, yeah, everybody's friends are back there. They said that? No. It felt like that. And then so there was a real division. And as we watched Max go into like the elite stream, he just looks back. He's like, hey, and then he just as he slowly like gets further and further away, he's like, you guys will be fine. So then me and Dan Hamilton went to the back, had beers, and watched you do your thing. And Webby D was also in the elite balcony, which we couldn't get to.
I bought a ticket.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
elitist.
Yeah, it's like I actually
your money.
paid for the
I paid for a
experience.
ticket.
Unlike you asshole who just gets told like an hour before, you want to go to the show? Sure, whatever.
That's what it was. Yeah. I thought it was a great fucking show.
Great show, and Frank is one of the best showman entertainers there is. And actually talks about being an entertainer in the interview.
Absolutely.
Are you bigger on his turf than he is on yours? This being your turf?
No, I think he's bigger here. He spent more time. I mean, he tours relentlessly. But the reason why I had to let you go quickly, though, was I missed sound check where I was supposed to go over the bit with him. And so I had to get my game face on. And he texted me. No, his tour manager said, Frank has a video for you when you arrive. So watch the video. I was like, that's kind of weird. But basically,
you have to dismantle this bomb in 30 seconds.
It was kind of like that. Basically, it was a video of Frank talking to me just before he was on stage. He was about to go on. He was wearing his like button-up shirt and his tie. And he said, all right, Max, here's the instructions. And he basically walked me through what we're going to do together on stage. And he's like, I'm going to call you out. We're going to do this dance. Then we're going to go crowd surf. And then we're going to come back.
He left you an instructional video.
Video. And I was
Smart.
like, oh, that's genius. Because if you're making a guest appearance and you want to be somewhat prepared, sometimes you have to go down at 2 PM. Your whole day is kind of like taken up by that. But the video just kind of was perfect, and it all worked out great.
You followed it perfectly.
Yeah. You couldn't really mess it up. But
and this interview took place, was it the next day, or was it after the last night of his tour? Because I mean, he talks about it in the interview. I think we can leave it in, but he went hard the night before, so he came in feeling pretty rough.
Yeah, well, the thing about Frank Turner is that he was like born to tour in the same way that Dan Hamilton was born to party. You know how I say Dan Hamilton is LeBron James of partying?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, he never gets injured. He's like never out, you know? He's never a DNP.
He always comes through in the clutch.
He plays like 82 games a year kind of thing.
Yeah.
Frank was born to be a touring rock and roll musician, and I've probably talked about this before, but like, he will do an acoustic performance in the afternoon. He'll sound check. He'll play a 3-hour show, and then he'll go DJ till 3 in the morning. And when I say DJ, it's usually just him standing behind the DJ booth and just like plugging in his iPod. But he just like likes being social. He likes hanging out. But the crazy thing is that usually people who are on that kind of party schedule, like that stay up late and like to have a drink, it's like they're not productive humans. Like, you see that a lot, like probably in the service industry, where people kind of get carried away with that lifestyle, and it's very easy because you got cash in your hands, and you have friends at all the bars. Frank has lots of cash in his hand and friends at every bar. But Frank says, I don't know if he said this in an interview with you, but he says if he doesn't read 50 pages of like a novel a day, he feels like he's wasting his life. And when's the last time anyone read 50 pages of a novel like every day for a week?
Never.
Yeah, right. And speaking of that, Frank
going on 34 years.
I haven't read
page 40.
Yeah, and he just announced this week that he's releasing a new book. He's already written a book. So not only does he put out a record,
prolific in every sense of the word.
In every sense of the word, yeah. Like he puts out a new record every 2 years. In between those records, he'll usually have some sort of additional project that it's like a deluxe version that has acoustic versions. He's already put out a autobiography. He has a new book about songwriting coming out.
Autobiography? How old is he?
36. But
wow.
Yeah, Dan, you probably read the book, right? Yeah.
Is it good? Wow.
Yeah, and he's really smart. Like, he went to he went to the school in England that the Prince went to, right? Prince William, I think.
Someone's got to read his autobiography.
Yeah, no, it's
and more than 50 pages.
I forget, yeah, I get through the first chapter and I'm like, I can't do it. But the first, the school where one of the royal members went, but he had to pass a test again. He's not necessarily a rich kid, but he's just really smart. So Frank is, as I've said this before, he's a guiding light for me because I think of myself as a busybody, but then when I think about the output of Frank Turner, I always think, I should be working a lot harder. So.
He's the North Star guiding you.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. And last thing I'll say is we toured in the UK, coming off opening for Frank in the UK. We were just there in November, and we had basically, I'd say 85% of the crowd were Frank Turner fans that saw us with Frank.
Oh, and then came back around.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah, and so it's a real testament to his fans and how invested they are in him and the musical community that he's a part of. That they'd come out and buy a ticket for our show.
Jeez, I'm getting excited for this interview.
Yeah.
And you sat in on it, Max, which is great because you really, I think, your guys' connection and camaraderie and chemistry came across.
Yeah.
Want to get to Frank Turner?
Let's do it.
Now we're starting it.
Check.
You're golden. Tell me the story about Domino's.
So we were just talking about pizza. Domino's has a different recipe on this side of the Atlantic, and I once cried in a Domino's, and as an into a pizza, because at the time I had this thing. This was in like 2007. I spent like 2 months living in a motel in LA. Like we had this idea that hey, we need to get stuff started in the States. I'll just go there and be there and play loads of shows. And I played all these dreadful open mics, and no one cared at all. And I didn't drive at the time, which is awful in LA. And this is pre-Uber as well, so I was just sat in this motel. And then one night I was feeling really low, and I just was like, fuck it, I'm going to get myself a Domino's. And I went and got the Domino's, and the recipe, like the tomato sauce, tastes really different over here. And I had a bite and just started crying.
You're like, nothing is working.
Yeah,
nothing is working in my life right now. They can't get
fuck you,
tomato
America.
sauce.
All I wanted was a Domino's, and you had me. So
yeah, you couldn't even give me that.
Yeah, totally. Hi,
man.
Jumping in the deep end.
We're just jumping right in on the Domino's, but a couple things. You were like one of our very first guests, like our legitimate guest, not like a friend of Max.
Yeah, well, it's a funny, and yet here I am now an illegitimate guest because I am now a friend of Max. So, I was gonna talk about this because I remember coming on this, and I remember in the setup to it, everyone was like, "Yeah, this guy Max, like he's in this band called Arkells, they're like kind of a big deal." And forgive me, I was not familiar with Arkells' music, and I remember thinking to myself, "Oh, okay, I'll check some of that out. And then I didn't, because you know how it is. Like shit.
Yeah, you had a
just
Domino's
happens.
to eat.
Yeah, and then to cry into. And then we had a great chat, I remember. And then when everything started coming together for us to actually do shows together, I was like, that's the guy from the band who I spoke to. So yeah, it's nice to be back.
And here we are,
know what
you know,
we're talking about
after
now.
having toured,
As
you
a
know, a couple
diehard
continents
Arkells
together.
fan.
Yeah.
As the proud owner, and I'm sorry I forgot to bring it with me, but my mind wasn't in it.
Oh, that's okay.
Somebody gave me the other day, there's a photograph of me wearing a cowboy hat kissing Max on the cheek, and somebody's had it engraved into a piece of wood.
Yeah.
Really?
It's like a cutting
Yeah.
board
Like
or
someone
something.
woodworked it?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
their
I mean,
art?
it looks like a machine done or whatever.
Oh,
but
okay.
like, it's really well done. But it's a picture.
We'll
of
post
me.
a photo of it.
Yeah,
It's-
where will it live, though? Who gets to keep it?
Well, this woman,
Because
she
it's given
does like
to
little
me.
like toy guitars, and for Frank. Well, I think we talked about this. She's an amazing music fan, but she wanted
Right.
to make you a guitar with an engraved.
Oh, yeah,
thing.
yeah,
But then you're
yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'm not gonna be able to take the thing around. It's gonna
Yeah,
be
that's
hard.
it. I mean, it is a funny thing. Also, like, as I'm sure you are as well, quite picky about the guitars I play and this
Sure.
kind of thing. And like, I'm trying to say this without sounding like a dickhead, but quite often people are like, "Hey man, can I make you a guitar or whatever?" And it's kind of like, I'm probably not going to play it,
Yeah.
and I don't want you to put all this time and effort in when I've got a 57 Gibson Country and Western at home. Do you know what I mean? It's
But
like,
you have this beautiful cutting board or whatever it is.
but yeah,
now.
well,
Cutting
it's
board.
just, I mean,
Charcuterie?
So, yeah.
It's,
Put up
it's,
some
it's,
cheeses.
it's about kind of 9 inches square,
Yeah.
and it's beautiful. I'm not sure I'm going to cut cheeses on it, because that would sully it. But
Was that a fart joke?
No, but it is now. I'm also not going to fart on it. But Jesus, what are we talking about? But I'm taking it home. It's going to go on my mantelpiece.
That's nice. That is nice. For our listeners,
In front of my photo with me and my partner. Just put it in front. Be like,
right in
yeah,
front,
baby.
block it.
Sorry, Jess. Yeah.
For our listeners, you played last night.
Yes.
I was at the show. It was the second night of 3 dates
Yes.
at the Phoenix. Max, you got up on stage at the end.
Yeah, and did a wonderful job. It was so good. I'll tell you one thing that happened during that though. I noticed you had your in-ears.
Yeah, the
and
mic wasn't coming through.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, man. It was coming through in my ears.
Oh, shit.
Dear
a lot of
mother,
Max.
and like. You
I fucked up a
and I are
couple
both
lyrics.
professional singers, but like you have a very powerful voice, and it was extremely loud, in my
Crushingly
ears.
loud.
And like my monitor guy Johnny's on the side of the stage, and I kept kind of throwing him a glance and being like, "Man, turn him down." I heard everything.
Yeah, I had nothing.
Oh, did I hear
Yeah,
you?
Sorry.
No, it's fine. It was lovely. You have a
Okay.
wonderful,
Yeah.
gorgeous singing voice. So it was nice. It was just extremely loud.
Well, as someone in the crowd, I could not tell that there was a technical difficulty whatsoever.
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily call that a technical difficulty. It was a technical ruffle, maybe. I don't know. But it was great. It was really fun. We went for tandem crowd surf. We had a proper waltz,
Yeah.
which I don't actually know how to do, as you might
No,
have
but
noticed.
clearly I don't either.
Yeah, cool. So it's that thing. It's like I've got 2 legs, so I do 1, 3. Do you know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
what do I do on the 2?
I'm even bad with like the spins too. I'm like
Yeah.
pretty awkward with that.
Yeah. It's well, actually, so after the show last night, I went and DJ'd at Bovine Sex Club, which, by the way, has done terrible things to my Google search analytics since looking up where it was. But my buddy Greg from the Weekends was down as well, and he was on stage with me while I was DJing, and then he kind of grabbed me and we started dancing. That guy knows how to dance.
Oh, he does, huh?
And I don't.
you let him lead.
No, I just completely screwed it up. He kept doing all this these moves, and I was like, "What's happening? What are you doing?" And so it wasn't as dignified as it could have been.
How much do you like doing that sort of? I mean, the thing is, it seems like you never stop working. It seems like you're a workhorse.
Well, I hesitate. I have mixed feelings about the word work in relation to what I do. I mean, obviously, on some levels, this is my job, and I'm proud to be a professional entertainer. That's what I do for a living. But it's not like going to the office.
Of course.
Do you know what I mean? Last night after the show, I got paid to get drunk in public, and that's with my friends.
That kind of sounds like a dream
and play
to me.
play
Yeah.
songs that I like. You know, that was fine.
Yeah.
I dropped Kelly Clarkson. The place went crazy. It was a good time. But I mean, I'm also hugely regretting it today because I feel like someone parked a truck on my life right now. So.
Did you ever consider about just canceling press today?
Never.
Because you're a pro.
Because I'm a pro. Well, also, again, I'm sitting here hanging out with my friends. Don't call this press.
Yeah, this could have been just a lunch date.
I know, but
really.
there was more besides us. So there
This
was
is
radio
true.
hits
This is
and
true.
whatnot.
Yeah, but you just you have those days where you're just kind of on the you can bring it, and there's this kind of veneer over the front of your personality where you can answer the questions and be engaging, and behind that you're screaming.
Yeah.
There's a
Your
little
head is
man behind
throbbing.
your eyes going, why am I alive? And that's kind of where I'm at.
You
right
wear
now.
your hangover well. well though, because you don't look like some people. And when they're hungover, you can tell.
Yeah,
but you know, your skin looks nice, your hair looks good.
I had a shower.
Oh, there you go. Hey,
yeah. So, and I'm also wearing. I want.
Maybe it's just the shirt. Actually,
it is the shirt. And we need to talk about this shirt. So I went on holiday.
You should describe it to our listeners.
It is a blue Hawaiian silk shirt with red flowers on it. Now I was on holiday in August in California with my partner, and during which I got engaged, which was very nice.
Congratulations!
But we were in a thrift store in Topanga Canyon, and there was this red silk Hawaiian shirt, and Jess said, try that on. And I went, yeah, right. And she said, no, try it on. It might look good. And I put it on. Now, I've never worn a silk shirt before that moment in my life. Holy mother of God, silk shirts, it's like 1,000 tiny angels caressing you all the time. And obviously the weather was really hot in California in August, and I was just like, I could never wear normal clothes again. And the next time I put on a t-shirt, it felt like I'd like gone to prison.
Well, it's so restricting. This one's like loose flowing.
So
you
smooth.
You get a breeze, you know? But it's so soft.
Yeah.
It never irritates your nipples?
Oh, it does wonderful things to my nipples.
That's good. That's good.
But the only problem I've realized, and this is such a terrible bloke comment, they're sort of hand wash only, and I don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
So
do you have to find places on tour that will hand wash?
or just ask someone else really nicely. I know that makes me a terrible human, but anyway. So yeah, this is my new frontier in fashion.
Nice
silk Hawaiian shirts.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we do have real questions, but this is way much more fucking
Well,
fun.
just before we get to them, the one other thing, my previous frontier in fashion thing. Do you know about the animal t-shirt phase I went through?
No.
I had it. Okay. I'll try and do this quickly. The full story was I was in South by Southwest and I was wearing a deliberately awful shirt because the thing is, like, to the extent that anyone's kind of looking at me as a public figure, I find that inherently ridiculous, and I like subverting that by dressing like an idiot. So I was wearing this terrible shirt and I was walking down the street and there was a guy wearing a t-shirt that just had a giant lion face in it, and I was kind of stopped him and I was like, man, you have a worse t-shirt on than I do. And we ended up swapping shirts in the street. And then after that I went through this phase of buying t-shirts that all just had massive animal faces on them. Then I got together with Jess, and she was not thrilled about this.
Jess is your partner.
Yeah, not thrilled about this frontier in fashion. And so I've kind of phased them out now. But then I found this place on the internet, and they have them in every country, where you can send off your old t-shirts and get them made into a quilt. Right? So I sent off all my old animal t-shirts and made them into like a stumbling block for anyone who's on drugs at my house. Do you know what I mean? It's going to be a massive double quilt that's just all huge animal faces.
Yeah, just
imagine
to terrify
being
people,
wasted and trying to get into bed and being like, no,
I can't get into this bed. This is a nightmare.
Trying to eat me. Yeah. So next time anyone's staying with me, either of you staying in my house, you can enjoy an animal face quilt. Should we do some real questions?
Well, I don't know. Do you want to?
No, let's get a few.
Okay, fine. Well, we had a question about set lists. I mean, you're doing three nights in a row. How much do you sort of focus on constructing the set list? Is that something that's important to you, or do you throw it together willingly?
And I wanted to bring this up because you and I have talked about the art of writing a set list, and we talked about other bands who seem to not care about it or not quite get it, and you have so many sort of touchstones in your set where you're like because you are the leader of the dance, as you like to say. So
totally.
like, talk about that.
If I could dedicate the time that I spend thinking about set lists on any given day to like anything else, I could like learn a language in a week. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just, I think about it all the time, and like I try not to get innovated by the internet generally, but like, you know, sort of people sort of have thoughts about set lists, and it's like, oh, you thought about this for 30 seconds, have you? Okay, cool.
Yeah, I thought about it for like my whole life.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, we don't play the same set every night. When we're doing a multiple night stand, we change it up. And like last night was really fun because it was a different set list. But my only reservation about last night's set list is that it didn't quite have the finesse of the regular set that we've been doing on this tour, because I haven't had time to think it out in that way. And like, you know, when I write out set lists, I make a note of which record each song comes off and make sure that they're grouped appropriately. So at the moment we're doing a thing, we only do the last 3 records for the first 7 songs of the set, and then we drop an older one. You know, you think about a lot of it's about energy management. Do you know what I mean? You've got to bring the crowd in. You've got to hit them hard. If you're going to go down, you've got to take them down gently, and then you've got to bring them back up. You've got to finish in the right place. You know, running songs together, which we do a lot. But then that brings in the whole thing about, like, you know, sometimes Ben will be like, well, I can't run straight from this song into this song because I have to move the capo on my guitar. I just said capo on my guitar, you know, or you know, Nige has to change a cymbal or whatever. There's
functional reasons you can't do songs back to back.
And there's some songs work as transitions better than others, and
right,
if it's
completely.
not the same set list.
And it's just, you know, and you have to sort of be aware of what the bangers are. Do you know what I mean? But like, so for example, in our regular set at the moment, we're actually playing Recovery, like third song on the set, which I really like because it's kind of a balls out move. Do you know what I mean? That is still probably my biggest song, and it's just like, we're not going to play this one last. I'm just going to put it.
Give it to you early.
And it's like, if this is the only song you came for, there you fucking go. Now hang around and see what else.
Yeah, it's kind of liberating. We started doing Leather Jacket earlier in the set too, because we would always end with it. But then on the last tour, we were like, let's put it in the middle, and then you kind of slap people in the face.
Yeah, dude, open with it.
Yeah.
Try opening with it.
Well, the Killers do Brightside. They open with Brightside sometimes, which is such a ballsy move.
The Violent Femmes open with Blister in the Sun.
Yeah, cool.
And the last time I saw them, they opened with it, and they went, "If that was the only song you came to see, you can go now." And it was just like, whoa, okay. But yeah, you know, it's all you got. I think about all this kind of stuff, and like, it's funny you say that about Leather Jacket. Like, for a long time in my early career, I have this song, "The Ballad of Me and My Friends," and it was the last track on the first album, and it was just always the closer, and I got so bored of it, and then we just stopped playing it for a while, and then it was just like, let's put it somewhere else actually. So we tried opening with it, and it was amazing. Similarly, like, you know, sometimes opening with Still Believe was fun, or Photosynthesis, like, just kind of like, I'm fortunate, as are you, to like, there are some bands that just have one song that is just so far and away the song, and I have 4 or 5 songs that are the song. Do you know what I mean? And that's kind of cool because it means you've got some options.
Yeah, and you know, at the end of the day, they're singing along to every lyric from every song anyway. Even if the song that maybe got them there was the big hit,
right?
Most of the people at your shows are familiar with all the tunes.
Yeah. But you know, you definitely want to finish and open strong and sort of give people kind of like, we construct set around kind of pillars, as it were. We have kind of blocks, you know, that it goes.
Yeah, and it's been cool watching you sound check, and it's informed the way Arkells sound check, because it's mostly just transitions.
Oh yeah.
It's like, because you don't
play
need
the fucking song.
No, you don't need to play the song. We've all played those songs hundreds of times, but it's like, okay, how are we, you know, craftily going from one thing to the next?
Yeah, totally. And
so I would say that when any young band asks for advice about putting on shows or whatever, I'm like, just work on transitions.
Yeah.
You know,
and I mean, I'm not going to name names because I don't want to point fingers or whatever, but like, some friends of mine in the band, I saw them play not that long ago, and like, they opened with the new single. Great, good move. It's the one that's on the radio right now. There you go. And then they stopped and tuned their guitars for like 2 straight minutes after, and it was like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Play 2 in a row at the beginning. Fuck's sake, man. And get your fucking guitar tech to tune it for you and just swap out for another guitar. And do you know what I mean? And like, they're a band at that level kind of thing. And like, they finished with like 3 new songs in a row, and it was just like, does someone like drop you on your head? Like,
people aren't clamoring to come back to the next show after that experience.
Yeah, they're playing another one I don't know, and now I'm going home. Do you know what I mean? It's
I'm
just like
confused.
The other thing, I got into an argument once with Radiohead fans on the internet, which is not a thing I would advise doing.
That is a hilarious sentence.
I should preface this by saying that I'm a huge Radiohead fan. I think they're the band for the ages. They're incredible. Don't call their fans indie believers. They didn't like that at all. But anyway,
what's an indie believer?
As in believer.
Oh, believer. Oh, got you.
Believers.
I got you. I dig it.
Yeah, that went down.
They're just as fanatic as the fan people.
There are some people on Twitter who really, 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 really care about Radiohead. And I care about Radiohead, but I don't spend my day trolling for people who talk to Radiohead, shout at them. But it was this whole thing about whether or not Radiohead play Creep in their set, which, in fairness, they actually do more regularly. And I ended up writing a piece about it actually on my blog. And the obvious preface is, you know, Radiohead have no idea who I am and don't have to give a fuck about my opinions about anything to do with their music, and good for them. But it's just a bit kind of like, you're playing for 2 hours and there is this one song that got everyone in the room in the first place. Is it that much of a fucking hassle to just drop that one occasionally? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Although I wrote the piece, and then the next time I saw Radiohead, they opened with it, and I was like, oh. There goes my argument. But you know, and Radiohead always plays surprising set lists, and they play interesting stuff, and it's super fucking cool. But do you know what I mean? It's like, there's a weird thing that some bands do where they get almost kind of get like resentful of a song being too popular, and it's like every other band would sell their firstborn children to have written Creep. You know what I mean?
Well, it's like, to embrace success is mildly uncool, so you almost have to you have to almost be counter to like the big mainstream thing.
Well, and the other thing, and we sort of touched on this briefly earlier, the word entertainer is one that I'm actually really quite bothered about, because there are a lot of bands who seem to regard that as a kind of slight in some way, and I think that's idiotic. Because first of all, it's a fucking fact. You're charging people to see you jump around and play music on stage. You're an entertainer. Get over it. But also, in my opinion, it's a noble profession. By calling myself an entertainer, I'm in line with vaudeville and the circus and music hall and theatre. And do you know what I mean? That's what, sociologically, that's what we do, and I'm proud of it. Do you know what I mean? Other people have real jobs, and then on Friday night they come down, they pay the money, and I try and lift the weight of the world for 2 hours and make sure they have a good time. And
why do you think some musicians do have that sort of like weird disconnect?
Because they want to be artists,
right? There's like a snob sort of
and it's just a little bit like, I don't think that art and entertainment are in any way opposed to each other. Anyway, right. Do you know what I mean? And like, obviously, there's hopefully huge amounts of art to what I do when you're in the studio and stuff. But like, in that moment when you're on a stage, you're presenting your art in an entertaining way. That's the idea.
Yeah. Secondly, when you mentioned Radiohead and writing that piece, and you're like, oh, they might not know who I am, whatever. Are you somebody as a musician that is competitive, or are you like, I can only focus on what I do?
I'm not competitive. And this goes to the conversation you and I have had a lot. Anyone who gets anywhere in a band, when you're watching another band, you're taking notes. Do you know what I mean? And like, I watch other bands. I've stolen everything off the Arkells since touring with them. But and I like
vice versa.
Vice versa.
Oh,
yeah, totally.
God.
But like, I remember the first time we toured with Dropkick Murphys, I stood inside the stage being like, interesting about the way they were presenting their show, because they're really fucking good live. So but that's not really competitive. And this is one of my new kind of philosophical kind of campaigns that I'm running. Music music is not a zero-sum game, and like, in this day and age, any band that is going out and selling tickets and getting songs on the radio and all the rest of it are good for them, because it's fucking hard, actually. And like, for example, I really dislike the music of Kasabian a lot, but you know what Kasabian do? Every day, 10,000 people come down to their show and they have a great fucking time. And on that level, long live Kasabian. May they continue and be great for the rest of their fucking lives. Do you know what I mean? And I'm just fucking bored of thinking that, like, well, that band's doing well, which means I'm doing less well. It's not true.
But you did feel those things.
I think a lot of people do.
How could you not? I mean, it's natural.
But I'm sort of working on it in myself. Like, I mean, again, like, I loathe the Red Hot Chili Peppers with a fiery passion. But again, all that they do is make Red Hot Chili Peppers fans enjoy themselves.
Yeah,
they make people happy.
You know?
Yeah, and that's an entirely worthwhile way of spending your time, even if he's the worst lyricist of all time. But like, there is limited time in life, and there is limited energy in your day, and why spend it being pissed off that something that you personally don't like is successful?
Did you? I'm just pulling it up right now. Did you ever read that Onion headline about the Red Hot Chili Peppers?
No.
Oh, you're gonna fucking love it.
Do you follow the Onion?
I'm not acidiously. I mean, I'm familiar with it. I follow the hard times.
In our message group, Max will post an Onion headline about once a day. You got to read it.
The headline is
read it.
Red Hot Chili Peppers accidentally write a song about New Hampshire.
Okay, read the text.
Unexpectedly penning lyrics about colourful autumn foliage and summer cottages on the shores of Lake Winnipesaukee, where I went on holiday the other day. Alternative rock band Red Hot Chili Peppers accidentally wrote a song about New Hampshire, sources reported.
Accidentally.
We just got into the studio and started jamming, and for whatever reason, we just ended up writing this track about the Granite State. I mean, that is one of my bugbears with Red Hot Chili Peppers. I know you're from California. You've mentioned it. Do you know what I mean? We don't need to discuss this further. Like, it's just, I get it, cool, and it's like, there are some bands like, the Pogues, for example, write about London as the Irish London thing,
sure,
and indeed about Ireland in really moving ways. But it sort of feels kind of valid to me, and it's not just kind of like, I live in the best place in the world and you don't, and it's just kind of like ding dong ding bang ding dong ding bang, and whatever. So we should stop slagging them off.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
I'm told. I am genuinely. This is true. I'm told that they're very nice people. I know people who've worked with them.
We've had Chad the drummer on this show.
Oh, really?
Very sweet.
Yeah.
We asked him what he thought of Flea's acting.
And what did he say?
He very sort of...
Did you dodge the question?
He laughed, and then, he was nice about it.
But he is an incredible drummer as well.
He's amazing.
Yeah, he's a really, really
He
great
did
drummer.
the interview at the drum set.
Oh, really?
He sat at the kit.
Nice.
Yeah.
This is the nerdiest thing I'm going to say today, probably. The drum sound on Californication is borderline perfect. It might be my favorite drum sound on the record.
A rare Red Hot Chili Peppers compliment from Frank Turner.
It's just a shame about the rest of it. I feel like such a bitch.
Sorry. We'll get on to
Well, I was going to ask because the last time we talked, your book was coming out, and we were talking a lot about sort of like, your defiant sort of like punk rock ethos is like from when you were young. And I guess the question would be like, now as you sort of age and learn more about the world, do you still maintain a lot of that outlook? And what's changed? Because
you're talking about your campaign, right? Like for that music isn't a zero-sum game.
Yeah.
It feels like you're the kind of person that develops their opinions and has a certain point of view, but can change over time. I remember talking to your bassist Tarrant about your political views, and he says, "Well, it kind of depends on the year."
That is true. That is true. And I mean, my politics evolve over time. I mean, hopefully, through the process of like self-education and learning about the world and experience. Do you know what I mean? And that's how it should.
Oh, and I don't say that as a slight. I'm the same way. You know?
One of the things that I get occasionally, which blows my mind, is like, there's one of the problems with the internet is it kind of telescopes time on some levels. I get people kind of going, well, you said this in a song that you wrote when you were 19, and then you said this in a song that you wrote when you were 35. What gives? And I'm like,
16 years?
16 years of my life? I mean, like, surely something happened in that time. I didn't just sit in a box going, don't change, don't change, don't change, don't change. I got a buddy called Ian, who is a journalist, Ian Winwood, and he's a wonderful friend of mine, and he is, I consider him one of the smartest people I know. And we were having dinner together one time, and I was talking about something to do with there is a corner of the internet that likes to sort of tell me I'm not punk from time to time, and good for them, and makes them happy apparently. And he sort of put his fork down and looked at me and he said, "You are too fucking old to care about what isn't punk." And I went, I am. And like, oh my God. And it was this feeling of liberation. I am super defensive of punk rock as a concept and as an ethos and as a style of music. I mean, I love punk rock music. Great. But like as the ethos, I'm super defensive of it for the simple reason that when I was a kid, I was lost at sea. I was fucked. I hated everybody and everything. And punk rock was my life raft. Do you know what I mean? And in fact, to quote a propaganda song, because why not? There's a line in Teenage McCarthyist where he says, the line is, maybe you're a lot like me, identified for 14 years without a choice and terrified on the morning you woke up to realize that when you jump ship, you either swim for shore or you drown. Don't let the fuckers drag you down. And that was, everyone has these moments in life. I felt like a finger came out of the stereo and went, this is about you, and it just, and so whatever the kind of shittiness that might come with the punk scene or arguments about what is and isn't punk and cliquiness, and, I've definitely done some things in my career that aren't punk, I suppose, all these kind of things. Nevertheless, on a kind of visceral level, it will always be really, really important to me.
But you should be allowed the room to change and evolve.
Yeah, definitely.
And shift opinions or outlooks.
Yeah, I was tickled on the last John K. Samson record. There's a track where he sings "Back in Those Old Punk Rock Days," and it was kind of like, okay, interesting. That's what you're putting that in your personal.
There's on the new Death Cab album. There's a song called "60 in Punk," which I recommend you check out.
I will check that out. Death Cab are a band that I'm just behind. Yeah, I really like them, and I'm always like, oh, they've got a new album. And someone's like, they've got 3 new albums since you last.
They're really good. They don't really miss often. A great lyricist.
Yeah. Oh yeah, phenomenal.
I do have some listener questions that I wanted to ask.
Sure.
Do it.
Okay, so these are from listeners of the podcast who have written in. Ashley from Sault Ste. Marie asks, what have you both stolen from each other as far as stage moves? Specifics.
Is this you?
Yeah.
It's one of the listener. We got some more, but yeah.
Manager Ash is in the room.
Yeah. Guys, it'd be more convincing if it wasn't like right here. The specifics of stage moves, I mean...
what have you stolen from Max? And then we're going to have Max tell us what he's stolen from you.
There's some... one of the things that you guys do a lot of that we have since started doing a lot more of is the kind of breakdown vamp. If you know what I mean, where you like take a bit of a song and you just kind of let it kind of turn over for a while you chat, and then sort of count it back in however you do that.
Sure.
And it gives you a chance to chat to the audience or whatever it is you want to do. And we never really used to do that. It was like the song goes like this, and then we'd play it and get to the end and go, but like now, particularly when we play Brave Face, the song off the new record live, there's a whole bit in that which every time we do it live, I think to myself, this is an Arkells song. So that was one. I keep meaning to steal the thing about getting a kid up out of the crowd to play guitar.
Oh yeah, I feel
not least because the chords that you make them play are the same chords to the chorus of photosynthesis. So I was just like, cool,
it'd be so easy. But it's funny that you say that because we stole that bit from your harmonica bit.
Oh, okay.
That's the only reason why we thought of that,
skit.
because Frank has a bit where he'd pull up somebody to play harmonica in one of the songs.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's so fucking genius. And it loosens up the room so much.
It's, you know what it is? It breaks down the wall, and it's the people this is speaking generalities, obviously, but the audience kind of goes, oh, it's one of us on the stage. Do you know what I mean? And that kind of, suddenly you're all on the same team. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. It's like you're not on this pedestal. Like we're all on this thing together, right?
We had a so talking of that, actually, we could do this for years. It's amazing. We had that skit. We kind of got it together when we were being a support band, because it's a really cool way of winning the room over, is to get one of them up on stage with you. And it's funnier if they have no idea who you are as well.
Well, same thing with us. When we do it when we were open for you in the UK, but it's like, all right.
Yeah. If it's a fan, it's kind of not as good. Yeah. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, I know the part. And it's like, oh.
Yeah.
Sucks. So when we did, in 2012, I did my first arena headline show at Wembley Arena in London, and we were going to play that song. It's a song called Dan's Song, and we were like, well, who are we going to get to do the harmonica? It's a special show. And like, we went through like my kind of like famous friends, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Or like, I knew like Ricky Gervais was coming to the show, and like, a rumor has it Daniel Radcliffe was there. I don't know if that's true or not.
Okay.
He's a wizard. Just like Sam Coffey, by the way, who dresses like a wizard.
Yeah.
Anyway, but so we went through all these kind of different people, and I think of this just because it was like, this is the wrong vibe. Do you know what I mean? Suddenly it becomes, hey, here's my famous friend. And that does the exact opposite of what we're talking about. It puts more of a barrier between you and the crowd, because the crowd kind of go, you know, oh, we're not.
They don't feel closer to you. You're more elite.
Who are allowed to be on the stage because we're not famous enough or whatever. And then in the end, we settled on my mum. Which was fucking great.
Classic nepotism.
And I didn't I didn't warn her it was going to happen. I just sent a friend of mine to get her during the show, and then she came out and she was like, what are you doing? In front of 12,000 people. But my mum was a primary school teacher for 4 years, so she handled it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. I mean, there's so many things. Like even just your use of our crew calls it the ego box, where if you,
the ego roses,
where you want your ego to be a little higher,
step up on a
but it's just
Apple
a great
box.
tool. Also, like your crowd surfing bit, like that's something that we didn't do a ton of. But I was like, oh man, just like get in there. Like,
yeah, definitely. The boxes thing, incidentally, I sort of borrowed. This is an obscure anti-music question. Do you remember a band called Oxes?
No,
they were a very odd post-hardcore band from the mid-90s, and I saw them play, and they were a three-piece, and the two front guys just stood on boxes for the whole show, and it was just a really odd presentation, but it was kind of cool, and it's nice
didn't move very much.
No. I mean, they were like shellac kind of vibe,
right.
Just odd, aggressive music, but it's nice having some like sort of like gym equipment to jump around.
Oh, totally, and it makes the theater of it all that much because there's different levels to the performance.
Yeah, completely.
Another thing we stole from you is on the last tour you did this thing which I hadn't really seen before, where the lights would kind of come down before you went on, and then you play Stand By Me at almost full volume. So it wasn't like, the Stand By Me was like an introductory tune and kind of setting the tone for the night. But it wasn't just like the normal music played on the PA between bands.
Yeah.
It was like, no, this is kind of part of the set.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's what I want. So we've been doing Stevie Wonder Living for the City, walking the stage. But it's like, we turn on the lights, Stevie Wonder Living for the City is like loud. It's like,
yeah.
You know, it's like, we're in the city. We're living for the city right now.
But it's kind of cool on a practical level as well, because it alerts people that
to get back.
Shit is about
it's like, all right, get your beer and get back to your spot.
Right. All right. So this next question is, Dan from Calgary asks, on the Canadian tour, you're playing a lot of songs with the exception of a show in Winnipeg. You're not playing Make America Great Again. This would seem to be a deliberate decision for Canada. What was your thought process behind that? Remember, you're on the clock here.
Okay. It's not... All it is like, we played Make America Great Again on the UK tour, and it was interesting because like a lot of the audience kind of went, huh, what's that got to do with me? Do you know what I mean? It's you know, it's a song that's kind of addressed to America, and a lot of English people were just like, yeah, what? Do you know what I mean? And so, like, I mean, we played it in Winnipeg, and we'll play it again at some of the shows, but there's no animus against the song. It's just something about it feels much more direct and visceral in front of an American audience.
It's not moving us Canadians or Brits as much.
Yeah, kind of like everyone in the crowd in England was like, sure, get on with it. Talk to somebody else about this. What the fuck?
It's such a British response.
Well, I believe that's it. Maxie, unless you have anything else?
Hey, you know, I just want to make a presentation to you because you've got through this interview with a massive hangover. You are the people's champ of today.
Oh my man, look at that! I'm going to wear that on stage.
Wear that on stage, and this is for being a trooper when it comes to.
It's weighty.
Yeah, it's the real. It's real gold. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, it's real gold. I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Can we do this again?
Of course.
Anytime.
Yeah, like, honestly, this is like one of my favorite podcast chats. It's really fun.
Yeah,
cool, man.
We will every time we're through.
Okay, fuck yeah.
Or maybe we'll have to fly.
Maybe
Mike
we'll come
to London
down.
and
or across, I guess.
Yeah,
Across
come stay in with the animal face quilt and like have a nightmare.
Will do. Thanks for your time,
Thanks,
man.
man.
Well,
what did you think my name was when you saw it?
I just
Out of
thought it was
curiosity.
Adam.
And then Adam.
The O was totally out of my mind.
People do that. They erase it.
Yeah.
they think it's your middle name or something.
Yeah.
I'm very bad with tricky names. Like our intern's name is Veronique.
Veronique.
Whatever it is, I fucking hate it.
That was the one on the pod, right? Like you had to get a couple.
Yes, yeah. She's actually part of the Crave show to some extent, also. So when I found out your name was Adamo, how do I say it?
Yeah, you got it. It's close.
Yeah, I didn't like
Adamo.
it.
Don't worry
Yeah.
about it. You don't.
All
like
right,
it,
let's go. Let's
Are
go.
we rolling?
Welcome to the desserts. We are here with our pop culture aficionado Shane Cunningham, and we have a very special guest, I am guessing, in the studio. Max and I literally just showed up to record this dessert. We are doing it first before we do the open. We do not know what's going on. We have a new person in the studio. Shaney boy, what's cooking?
Well, you guys know what time it is.
It's the dessert time.
Time to start thinking about season 2. Season 1 of Crave.
Mm-hmm.
That was a little rough on old Shaney boy. So for season 2, I've been thinking of things to help me.
Oh.
And besides a digital dessert intern,
Yeah.
I need writing staff to help me with these.
Oh, hey, that's good. Because
Okay.
you've been employing just our friends, Sean Dawson. Who else? Who else have
Well,
you
Sean
sent?
Dawson and Paul Moncrief have been my main go-tos. And although I've never been able to use any of their jokes, sometimes the ideas they come up with spawn other jokes.
Sure.
And Sean is, he's a real estate agent, Sean Dawson. And he was telling me, hey, I really want to be a writer if you ever get a season 2. Like, hire me.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to audition you, and let's do it for a dessert. Like, let's see what you got.
You told this to Sean Dawson.
I told to Sean,
Wow.
and he totally chickened out.
Wow.
He goes, no, I won't do that. There's no benefit to me or something. Or like he thought I would just make fun of him.
He's too good to audition.
Yeah, which was kind of off-putting and kind of just made me want to fire him right then.
I do get it, though. The man's got a full career.
I know, but if you want to be a writer, you got to take criticism.
Fair.
Anyway, Adamo
There he goes.
contacts me out of the blue and just says, hey, Shane, let's get together and just chat comedy. I'm a comedy fan. And I'm like, sure, yeah, anytime. It took me 5 months to respond to you
Yeah.
because it got hidden in my Facebook.
It's fine.
It's
I
hidden.
slid into the DMs. It's fine. I expected that.
Yeah, and since we weren't friends because I'd never met you before, it was in that hidden part of Facebook.
Yeah.
So when I finally did respond, I was like, yeah, anytime. And you're like, sure, just name the date. And then I was like, shit, this is going to be really awkward if you and I just meet up for coffee. And then I was like, bingo, audition Adamo
Here we go.
because maybe you are a great comedy writer.
And maybe not.
Exactly. That's why you're here today. So I gave you the task of coming up with digital dessert jokes
Yeah.
for a Nick Swartzen digital dessert. Now, keep in mind, I've already done the Nick Swartzen digital dessert.
Hold on, can we learn a little bit more about
Where is
Adamo
that? Yeah,
before,
that's-
before we get to? Were you planning on just going right into the material?
I was, but you know,
About to jump right in.
because we've never we intentionally didn't make any small talk before this started rolling.
No eye contact.
For our listeners, we walked in here and it was just Max is like, "Are we talking to him?" And Shane goes, "You know, I like awkward silence." So then the four of us and WebBD just sat here awkwardly, and then WebBD started talking about some promo stuff we're doing for the Crave show, and Adamo just had to sit there quietly, and then he started to talk, and Shane goes, "No."
Yeah, he said, "I'm going to New York," and we said, "Enough of that."
So ask your questions.
Yeah.
Maxie.
So what do you do?
So I'm a comedy writer.
you are?
Well, that's what I want to be, and I have my own web series.
Okay.
I have a podcast.
Give it a plug.
It's called Shooting the Shit. That's the web series. We interview celebrities in a bathroom stall. I sent you one with Doug Benson. We did that when he was
Yes.
in town. We've done like the like Mike Holmes.
Oh, here we go. Webby D. Webby D is like a producer. He just handed me Adamo's LinkedIn here.
Oh, nice.
Wow, you've got quite an extensive resume here.
Yeah,
All right.
but like, the TV stuff, it's all behind the scenes.
Production intern,
It's tough to
production
get in there.
assistant,
It's tough to get
Canadian
in there,
Screen
of
Awards,
course,
talent wrangler, MMVA talent wrangler. I've done that gig.
Yeah.
It's pretty fun.
It's all right. Yeah, I did
Yeah.
Walk Off the Earth.
Oh yeah, how were they? Were they nice?
Yeah, they're super nice. I interviewed them on the web series I did as well.
In the
Max's-
toilet.
Like, yeah, in the stall. Yeah.
Nice.
Max has sung with Walk Off the Earth.
Yeah, I know those guys.
They're good guys. Yeah.
Freelance production assistant at Cineplex Entertainment.
Oh baby, yeah.
Free movie tickets.
Nope.
What?
You would think.
That'd be the only
Does it
reason to do
say
that.
we're not allowed
Nothing.
to ask in an interview? But does it say his age online?
It does not. Of course not.
Oh.
Wait, you'd never put your age on LinkedIn, would you? True
I
fact
don't care
about me, I don't have LinkedIn.
You know what's funny, man? LinkedIn has helped me out getting like guests for that web series. Like Ed the Sock is on LinkedIn.
Steve Kersner.
Yeah,
Love
he's
him.
on LinkedIn. I still talk to him like all the time. Like,
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm on LinkedIn for some reason.
Are you really? What do you put in there?
Do you go on?
I've never
Lead
updated my
singer?
yeah.
2004 till present.
I've never updated it, but sometimes people search for me. Yeah,
Are you
yeah.
scared to say your age?
No, not at all. I'm 48.
Whoa, you are not.
No, I'm 25.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
nice.
All right, let's get to the jokes now.
Here we go. So you want, this is my turn. Yeah, it's me. Okay.
Yeah.
You guys.
So
watched-
have you seen the digital desserts?
I've watched a bunch. So Nick Swartzen, where is that one?
It doesn't exist.
Doesn't exist. Is that in
It's
Crave?
a good trick question.
You said you did one with him. You just said that, didn't you?
I did, but I haven't edited it yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, our digital dessert intern is actually featured quite prominently in that one. She's very funny.
That's
What's her name
awesome.
again?
I don't
Oh.
know.
Very neat.
No, very neat.
Edit it in. Yeah. So I've seen the TJ Miller one. That was great. I've seen all of them. I think everything on your YouTube.
Okay,
Yeah. It was
that's good.
Yeah. The TJ Miller one was funny. I think. Was it weird when he's like, "Oh, here's the real Shane." You know that moment where he's like, "Here's the real Shane."
Well, before I did that digital dessert, I was a very normal person.
Yeah.
And then once we started, I
turned
kind of
on.
slip into the character,
course.
which isn't normal.
I love that. Yeah, that was awesome.
But he actually liked it. He was just like, shit, I'm not ready to be doing improv
Yeah.
right now,
That was
coming
great.
off a more serious interview.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for Nick Swartzen, I love Nick. By the way, the guy's been doing stand-up since he was like 19. He's.
Yeah.
Can you swear on this?
Oh, yeah.
He's
Yep.
fucking hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable. So I just thought it'd be funny if you wore roller skates the entire interview because Reno 911, his character Terry, is literally just on roller skates. He's a prostitute.
So I come in with roller
you can come
skates.
in, and I think it would be a cool way to dance off because do you still dance off in Crave?
I do, yeah.
Dance off. I love the dance off.
Thank
That'd
you.
be a fun dance off. That's not really a joke. That's just something to do.
That's a good idea.
So you open on. So you're like you're gonna do the whole interview in roller skates because
Yeah, you don't even have to show that you're wearing them.
Because you
Nick's
surprise
right.
him with the roller skates. You just kind of he's sitting there and you kind of come in.
Because
Yeah.
the camera could be zoomed in where you don't even notice I'm in roller skates
and then
until
you-
the
and
end.
then-
you
exactly.
skip.
That
But-
could be cool.
And the connection is that his character from Reno 911 is a roller
Terry,
skater.
yeah.
Gotcha.
And
Because
like
I don't
he-
even care about the connection. I just like that it's so stupid.
It is,
Like
yeah.
if he had never been that character, I would like it just as much.
Well, that's what I was thinking. Is that for knowing Shane, I would think he would actually find that it's not a cool thing that it's connected to the character.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, so you want no connection?
No. I want you to do your thing. It's
yeah.
just Mike knows me.
Okay, I gotcha. Okay, so yeah, and I'd also like to.
The point is, it's a good bit, but maybe for somebody else.
Yeah. Okay, we'll move on.
Right?
I might use this bit.
Okay, carry on.
You're 1 for 1.
One for one.
Yeah.
By the way, we should. I feel like if we're talking about comedy writers and writers' rooms, not that I've ever been in one, but a lot of it has to do with like chemistry people have built up over
yeah.
years with each other, trust, and your a certain level of comfort. It's not people auditioning for stuff. It just doesn't happen like this typically.
No,
or does it?
For some, it does.
Okay. Anyway, carry on. But anyway,
I'd like to see in the digital dessert some characters, like secondary people coming in, like really weird, fucking random shit. So for Nick Swartzen, he got a tattoo, a matching tattoo with the guy from NSYNC. What's his name? Chris
Kirkpatrick.
There you
yes.
go. So the whole interview, I would have you check in periodically with a tattoo designer, like an artist, standing off, and saying like to Nick, "Are we there yet to get matching tattoos?" Like essentially throughout the whole interview, you're working towards a friendship where you can have matching tattoos.
Okay.
And you're a man of many tattoos.
It's funny,
So is
in the
Nick.
Crave series, I actually end up getting a tattoo in one of the
Come on.
desserts, and I incorporate other people in it more. So I've actually done the two things you're suggesting.
Oh shit.
no, that's
No,
good.
that's
That's
a good.
good.
Thing. You're riding the right
Yeah.
wave.
I'm close. All right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that would have been.
So we're on the same wavelength here.
There we go. Okay, cool.
More jokes now.
Okay. I'd like to see a camera operator character. And
Like Eric Andre show, right?
Yeah,
How
yeah.
he shows kind of the...
Exactly.
Jay and Dan do that too.
Jay and Dan do
Yes.
that with their producers.
Yeah,
So is this too derivative?
Is it too derivative?
That's my worry, that people are going to be like, for instance, I used to do funny name keys
Yeah.
off the top, but I found that was too derivative off between two ferns.
Yeah.
And I wanted to disassociate a little bit, so I stopped doing that.
Okay. Also, Conan does. I'm a big fan of Conan. He does.
too.
He does those like audience member characters.
Yes.
But the thing is, it's so refillable. They can be reoccurring characters, or they can just be different absurd characters that you can throw in.
One-offs, but it's
Well,
always a plant in the crowd.
I like
Yeah.
using Veronique as a plant. She's very funny. She was
Is
a
she?
child actor growing up.
She was?
Yeah.
So she's
That's
cool.
why she convinced your bandmate that she actually wore that shirt.
Yeah, but she's just kind of dry. I find
that takes
That's
skill.
exactly what you want.
Yeah, cool.
That's a tease for the Crave show as well.
A lot of teases happening here.
Well,
Yeah.
we want
Like
people to sign up and watch our episodes on Crave.
I know I
streaming
will.
now. Will you really?
I will. Yeah, he told me to.
Tonight at midnight. Future boss, you gotta do what the boss says.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay.
What else do I got here?
By the way, for our listeners, he has a
A
yellow
notepad.
Notepad.
I also write on notepads.
I can't type it.
Kindred spirits.
Yeah.
I try to do it on my phone when I'm out because I can't carry this thing around sometimes.
These are like soulmates.
Yeah, iPhone Notes
Yeah, we can
sucks,
talk
I
after
find.
this.
It's
We
hard
can
to
hang
find
out.
it sometimes. But we both like writing stuff down.
Shane, you have a kid, right?
I do.
How old?
7 months.
7 months. That's okay. So I'm thinking you just try to get your celebrities that you're interviewing to help you get sponsors and like give you free product for your kid, like diapers and stuff like that.
His
So
wife
you-
is already doing that, actually.
Yeah.
Actually-
Yeah, I made her create an Instagram account so we could get free stuff.
You guys are riding the same
What's
wave, man.
happening here?
And you saw the classified one where I incorporate my daughter into the...
Yes, that was great.
Yes.
Was someone was in a ski mask? Was that
Yes,
same
my
one?
wife was breastfeeding in the ski mask.
Is that
yes.
the same episode?
Yes.
Okay.
The idea was she was puppeteering my daughter and she didn't want to be a distraction.
Nice. Going off
High
the-
concept stuff.
Another idea, going off the stand-up stuff, I would say maybe ask him about how he handles hecklers, and then so he'll get into a bit. You start heckling him, and then
That's
you can
good.
like reverse the roles.
I like
play
that.
With that.
That's
so then
a-
he'll heckle
that
you,
is a
and then
great
he can-
idea.
and he can hurt your feelings probably.
That's a great... I think that's hilarious because it's a great excuse to make fun of a guy under the guise of,
Yeah.
listen, I would never say this,
Yeah.
but yada,
It's
yada.
For the bit. Yeah.
That
Exactly.
is a great idea.
Reverse heckle.
the reverse heckle.
Strong.
And
That's what we'll call it.
in the Nick Swardson one, I do something similar, which
Oh,
is
really?
very weird. But I say, here's the things you can't say in 2018. And then I do this
just say it,
list
yeah.
where he's advising me what you can and can't say. And then one thing was so naughty that I was like, I can't say this. I can't say this. And then Veronique comes out and she reads it.
It was
That's good.
hilarious.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's sort of like the joke Seth Meyers has where he brings out his like female writers to say stuff.
Jokes he can't
jokes
tell.
that he can't tell.
Do you want me to say what the joke was?
yes.
Yeah.
So keep in mind, Veronique is about 5'1", like the sweetest person in the world.
Yeah.
And she says...
Kind of soft spoken.
Yeah, exactly.
not abrasive at all.
So I'm like to Nick, I'm like, I can't say this. I can't say this. Veronique, could you please say this? And she's like, well, I don't know. I'm like, please, Veronique, I can't say it. And she goes, what's the best part about lasting on her
What a setup.
We're gonna have to bleep that whole thing.
I know.
That's insane.
And do you know what the answer is?
What is it?
You get your for free.
Wow.
Who made up that joke?
A homeless guy, when I was walking outside of McDonald's, I overheard him telling his buddy, I'm like,
Let's get him here.
That's it. That's all. That's our episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, we have a show on Crave TV. I think we just call it Crave now, baby. Streaming right now on your service.
A huge thank you to. Did we thank everybody who worked on the Crave show?
We're going to need a credits list.
We'll
but
do it
thanks
again.
to everybody.
Yeah,
that worked on
everybody. Thanks to everyone who's listening. I will say that people bugging us about not putting up podcasts regularly really makes me happy because it really kind of shows that we're a part of people's weekly lives. And,
yeah, that guy was really angry.
no, but people have been asking about it. So
No, I know. I'm
so
just
it's-
making a joke.
Yeah, it's good to be back in the swing of things.
The Mike and Much Podcast, produced by Max Kerman. I'm your host, Mike Veerman. See you next week if we don't die on the weekend.